Hey everybody, JJ here on the BX4. It is Wednesday, April 14th, 2021. Got a really important update tonight. We want to go over some news. We're going to talk about possible black swan situation that might be arising. Now, I'm not sounding off any alarm bells. I'm not saying anyone should run for the hills, but it is something to be concerned about. Maybe check into it and maybe start preparing a little bit. And we're going to talk about what it is. We're also going to talk about rising prices, the big drop in the dollar here recently, and what we might need to continue to prepare for here with this economy crumbling. First of all, right here, there are some rumblings within the financial world to maybe hedge your positions because one of the things that could bring this financial system down or bring the economy down is war. And Ukraine being a U.S. ally, a lot of eyes are keeping a very close eye on this situation unraveling between Russia and the Ukraine. Right now, this involves a lot of politics and geopolitics, foreign policy analysis. Not my thing, so check into it as you will. But it is something to keep an eye on because we know one of the things that could reverse this financial situation and bring things to a screeching halt, so to speak, is a full-scale war that the U.S. would get involved in. Hopefully not. We're all praying that doesn't happen. But there is a U.S. ally possibly involved in this situation, so we'll have to see how it unwinds. And I forgot to mention this in our previous report. Bernie Madoff, he's being described here as the largest Ponzi scheme, as the one being behind the world's largest Ponzi scheme. He is gone. Now, that headline, I actually disagree with that. The largest Ponzi scheme is the entire monetary system and the financial system. So until this system dies, not much reason to breathe any sort of sigh of relief. And I'm sure his time behind bars was not that difficult. If you know what I mean, these white collar crooks, they typically get a very nice, cushy life, behind bars. Well, what we have been warning about here now for many years is now mainstream. NBC News article right here. Get ready for higher grocery bills for the rest of the year. So we saw the big spike in food prices when people were prepping, basically, lines around the grocery stores, lines for hundreds of people outside of the Costco's, and remember the toilet paper shortages last year, all the people stocking up on food, preparing for the shutdowns. Well, food prices have not come down since that time, and in fact, they're continuing to rise. All right, think about all the people that were barely scraping by. How are they going to handle this higher prices for groceries? All right, people with families to feed, people that lost their jobs, are seeing nothing but bigger and bigger mountains to try to climb. And therefore, again, we are predicting it's going to be more stimulus checks, more frequent, and possibly monthly stimulus checks coming in the very near future. Also expect more backing of the banking system. We're likely going to see more lower interest rates with the Fed coming in and buying up as many bonds as possible to keep interest rates subdued. So expect more rising prices, more inflation, and of course, like we always say, you may want to invest accordingly. And it looks like a lot of people might be in trouble with Uncle Sam. There's actually news articles, and this is CNN, news articles about how to pay your taxes with your credit card. Can you believe it? How to pay your taxes with your credit card. So apparently there are some services out there that allow you to pay Uncle Sam with your credit card, but they're going to take a cut of it. I think it's a 1 or maybe a 2% fee, somewhere around there. But if you're having to resort to paying your taxes with a credit card, you might be in big trouble. Now, just to be fair, there are some people that are choosing to pay taxes with their credit card because you get the points or you get the rewards. And people would rather do that, especially if you have a 0% interest rate or a promotional offer where you don't have to pay any interest, and that way you're not draining your bank account to pay the IRS if you're one of those people that owes money to Uncle Sam because of the maybe the trading profits that you made. Nonetheless, still pretty interesting that that's even a news topic on how to pay taxes with your credit card. So just another sign of the times, in my opinion. WolfStreet.com, purchasing power of the dollar. Another new all-time low, another big drop. Now it's interesting when we look back to the financial crisis, 2007, 2008, that's when the dollar purchasing power increased. Why? Because prices corrected, right? The Fed didn't sit there and front run the markets like they are now. They actually allowed prices to correct. Remember the big price drops in the housing market, and the economic activity slowed down so much that other prices came down because demand slipped with so many job losses and so much wealth that was lost during that time. Well, this time just the opposite happened. Instead of demand slipping, demand increased because the stimulus that they pushed out into the economy, the liquidity and the propping of the banks, allowing banks to continue lending, the moratoriums and all the assistance programs, the money printers stopped deflation this time, unlike the 2007-2008 financial crisis. All right, so another big drop, another all-time low for the US dollar. The way that the money printing is going right now, you would expect to see bigger, steeper declines in the purchasing power of the dollar unless something dramatic happens or some sort of reversal, again, a black swan event or something that no one foresees or no one expects. But without something dramatic happening, some unexpected event, expect to see bigger declines and faster and steeper declines in the purchasing power of your dollar. Also, speaking of stimulus checks, CNBC is asking the question, the economy is running on a stimulus-fueled caffeine high. What happens when it wears off? Well, that's the question. Will it wear off? Or will the stimulus checks just get bigger and more frequent, so therefore we will not see a reversal in these rising prices and in the cost of living? All right, and this article also points out the expected growth this year in 2021. The U.S. economy is widely expected to show its biggest growth this year since 1984. So even with 700,000 plus people losing their jobs every week, new jobless filings, we're expecting to see the biggest growth in nearly 40 years. Simply unbelievable. But really not so unbelievable when you look and when you understand how this monetary system is operating, with endless money creation done behind the scenes to continue to pump the caffeine high amongst the population. Okay, we're going to wrap this one up here. Thanks everybody for watching this update. Hope you're doing well at this time. Continue to ride the bull, prepare for the bear, take advantage of this stimulus and all these inflation of bubbles. Maybe you're in a housing ETF. We see housing continuing to go higher, but also prepare for the bear. Black swan alert, anything could happen. It's going to have to be something major and dramatic to reverse what we're seeing in this economy with the inflation and the fierce blowing of these bubbles, blowing bigger and bigger bubbles everywhere you look. Thanks everybody. Stay well, stay safe, stay prepared. Bye for now. Peace.